I did it. I won, but I wish I'd never played this stupid fucking game. I don't want to think about this ever again. I think you'll realize why. Some things shouldn't be tested or explored, and sometimes when you lose something, it's best for it to stay gone. I love you, Alex. I let my car roll to a halt. I was at the location drop Neville had sent. I still couldn't tell you where he sent me. Somewhere out in the countryside I'd never seen before. Since my last post, I read through so many of your comments, and I looked further into the rules of this game. A lot of stuff contradicts itself, but the parts of the rules that never seem to change is the stuff about keeping your eyes closed and ignoring sounds. I looked at the passenger side seat and the pile of supplies I had ready. A thick knitted cardigan, it's supposed to get cold, right? A notebook with the rules, a large box of food, and several large bottles of water. I also had a trusty flask of tea. I debated knocking the mirrors out of my car, but from some deep digging, I realized that wasn't the best idea. I left a note in my makeup room. With my sister house sitting, it'll be the first place she'll raid. I've left clear instructions. NS. It's good that I enjoy storytelling. Me. What do you mean? NS. You broke a rule, but I suppose it's a fun post. Isn't too big of a party foul. Me. Where's the road? NS. You've studied this game now. You know how it works. Keep driving. NS. Another thing. You broke a rule by letting people know, so how about I add one? I felt my jaw start to tremble. My palms felt like I just pushed them into a cactus. I was gonna do this. NS. Do you want to see Alex? NS. Do you? NS. Lily. Me. Give me your rule. NS. I let you have your phone, so I'll keep you company. If I call, you answer. I even promise not to call when you're not supposed to listen. Remember that though, I won't call unless I can. NS. Now, start driving. So I did as I was told and started driving. The rest of this isn't going to be as coherent, and I'm sorry. I cannot tell you how hard I fucking tried. Finding the road. I kept going, letting my car go slow. The last thing I wanted to do was run my tank dry and freeze. You'll know when you find the road. You'll know. I kept driving forward in a straight line, keeping my eyes on the road ahead, but I knew it wasn't my road yet. 2 minutes turned to 10 and then to 20, and then I felt it. It was like the blood was rushing out from behind my legs. I felt a hollowness in me. I had to stop myself from holding my stomach. It was like all my insides had fallen out, and I needed to push them back in, but I refrained. And it was as if because of this restraint, I was rewarded. The sides of the road that were once dark were filled with the most beautiful sunflowers I'd ever seen. Everything was such a brilliance of yellow. I could have sworn to you that it was a hot summer morning. I could feel the glow in my stomach, in my heart. I was golden. Then I watched as they died. I watched every single petal wither. There was no more gold. Darkness took over once more, and the sides of the road didn't seem to matter anymore. I kept my eyes back to looking front and center. I knew my desire. I wanted Alex. I wanted him safe, alive, and I wanted him back. Mile 1. Drive. All you got to do is drive. Keep the windows up, keep the radio off, and get prepared for the temperature drop. I reached over to grab my cardigan, and I wrapped it around my body. From the death of the gold glow, silver sprouted. Wow, they weren't kidding about that star thing. For a moment, I felt myself feel the awe. They were so beautiful, the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. Thump. My heart was in my throat. My instincts kicked in as I took control of the wheel. I'd hit something. I had been thrown off, of course, but not fully. I regained control. It was fine. I was fine. I was cold. I was so cold. My phone jingled, and I pressed answer and then speaker. Thank goodness for a console mount. Talking hands-free on this road was probably for the best. It was a call from Neville, because of course it was. You're entertaining. The voice was like static. How is that possible? Lily, can you hear me? I clenched my jaw hard enough to make my teeth ache. What makes me so entertaining? Sunflowers. Ice water. I was in ice water. I looked down, my feet were covered in water, and it was rising, quickly. I kept my eyes on the road. I couldn't afford to keep looking away. Soon, I won't have that option. Neville's voice was a giggle, but it wasn't distorted. It was a child's laugh. It sounded like my sister's when we were kids. My knees, the water was at my knees. My toes were numbing, cold enough to burn. You have a desire for love, a desire for Alex. Predictable. He sighed theatrically, but at least it wasn't fucking roses. The static slither was back. The water was at my stomach now. It was so cold. Enjoyed your first mile? The voice was teasing now. Forgot to mention, time isn't really what it seems. The line went dead and I was dry. Bone fucking dry. Mile 2. I'd driven a mile. I knew I had. I knew. But it'd been an hour. A whole fucking hour. It's not what it seems. I took a big swig from my flask. The tea was still hot and it scorched my throat. I let the heat sit for a moment before swallowing, but then I was back to feeling the cold. From the corner of my eye, I knew there were trees on each side of me, creating a tunnel, and the fuck knows, but I tried my best not to pay attention. My car bumped, tarmac seamlessly melting into a dirt road. It was getting bumpy now. Keep breathing, keep steady. 9 more to go. Sunflowers. My hand twitched. Turned back. Feel golden. It was warm there. They died. It took me a few seconds to realize it was my own voice. I bit down on my lip. I didn't want to speak. Something deep in my bones was screaming at me to keep my mouth shut. It didn't matter that the sunflowers were dead. I was never golden. Mile 3. The bumps in the road were harsher now. Every couple of feet my entire car shook, but it didn't matter. This is going to be a long mile, as was the next. I just knew it was going to be longer. This wasn't a normal road, but I knew that beforehand. Not everything's as it seems. As soon as someone says, "Don't look," that's pretty much all you want to do, right? Keeping my head strained forward was painful. Then, I could see it. A red string. It was tying itself tighter and tighter around my nape. It was cutting through my flesh. I could feel myself starting to gargle. I could see it without looking at it. I didn't need to check my mirrors. I knew the string was there. I knew my bones were starting to burst through my skin. I could feel the popping. It was bursting. I was bursting. If I could twist myself just right, I could yank the string off, but the mere thought of it made my jaw swing open. Metal. Blood's an undeniable smell, isn't it? It was dripping out in what could only be gallons from my mouth. The copper rusted taste clung to my teeth. Alex, you've got to get Alex. There weren't any trees outside anymore. I coughed. My windshield was colored red. I smiled. At least I couldn't see the shadows. I couldn't see them running toward the hood of my car. I couldn't see. It doesn't matter if the road turns golden again, I thought. Everything is red, crippling crimson. My phone rang again, but instead of my usual shitty ringtone, it was a foghorn. The string snapped. My windshield was clear, and I gasped. It felt like glass was scraping my throat, but I could breathe. My face was wet. I was sobbing. It was guttural. I was screaming an inaudible noise. It felt as though my face would crack. It was like waves. I was crashing. I was going to crash the car. My phone rang and I hit the answer button whilst trying to regain control of the car. I couldn't keep fucking up. I had to keep going. I had to keep going. You've got it, Lil. A glutton for punishment. Take a breath and enjoy the silence. The line went dead again, and I took deep gulps of air over and over again. I punched the dashboard with my left hand over and over again until I heard something. No! I hit the roof of my car. My hand felt mangled, but I didn't care. I am not listening. I am not listening. Keep shouting. Keep going. Drown it out. Welcome to mile 4. Mile 4. Carry on, my wayward son. It felt like the roof of my mouth was splitting open as I sang louder than I had in my life. For there'll be peace when you are done. Are you sure? Lay your weary head to rest. The voices continued. They weren't human. No matter how convincing they sound, they are not human. The words were stuttering. They sounded as if they were trying to break through an old radio broadcast. You'll get Alex back like this? Don't you cry no more. Come on, Lily. You can do better. I hit my head on the wheel before shrieking another line. Once I rose above the noise and confusion. Stupid girl, it's coming. And then nothing. I hollered aloud, laughing in hysteric pitch. A moment of panic, and Kansas saved the fucking day. I kept driving, right onto the next mile. They were getting shorter, but this was a game. The clearing was going to be the eye of the storm. Mile 5. I glanced out the window. There were no trees. There would be a clearing now, and a moon. A big moon glowing down on me that I couldn't look at. Tear out your eyes. I shook my head and the thought away. I was close. I was going to get through this. Some rules said the clearing would have a lake. Sometimes on the right and sometimes on the left. I couldn't drive through it. That was important. I just needed to keep driving straight and ignore the moon. When the moon hits your eye. I was laughing again, almost buckled in joy. I didn't need to look at the moon to know it was there. I was in the clearing now. It seemed endless. A vast road of what looked like snow, illuminated by the washes of moonblast from above. The moon was there. I didn't care. I didn't need the moon. I needed Alex. Then it was gold. Everything around me was golden yellow. Ha! I scoffed. You're fucking with me. But I could almost feel the string wrapping back around my neck. This time pulling down from the base of my skull, as if trying to make me snap my head up. I knew what the string wanted. I knew what this stupid fucking game wanted, but I wasn't going to take even the smallest look. I took another swig of tea. It was still hot. The night was glowing, and I could feel myself breaking down. My mind was cracking open, but it didn't matter. If I have to go crazy to get you, Alex, I will. I'll do it. Then I saw it. Not the moon, not the shadows, but a man fishing in the lake. He was wearing Alex's coat. It's not him. Keep driving. Stars began to twinkle. I watched as their reflections bounced in the lake. I was getting close. Mile 6. Pretty much half away. I kept driving. Looking back, I wish I drove the damn thing into the lake. That's all I can manage to retell for now. I'll have the final out tomorrow, but I'm telling you right now, I don't think I ever got off this road.